This is Three Dog.
How can I help?
Andy Burkowski here for VGS. Last week, we took some time to talk about the community, the industry, the culture of video games. And one of the prevailing themes that keeps pushing in gaming culture is the use of Twitch. We talked a lot about a rising star that does streaming. Her name, Zoie Burgher, over 600,000 subscribers with just more than a dozen videos, and has really shored up a lot of controversy. We had 4 white bearded men to talk about that controversy, which we agreed was asinine. So last week we put a call out and said, obviously, there needs to be a female perspective on this entire industry, this entire vocation. Some people showed interest. One person in particular, Zoie Burgher herself, she is here to speak with us. Thank you, Miss, for joining the program. I do appreciate it.
I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to give my side of the story because I feel like it's going to be very educational and insightful for people who are more than just the average YouTube consumer, media consumer. They're someone who wants to think more analytically about the situation. And I actually did catch your podcast before coming
wonderful.
in. Yeah, because I have a motto: if someone is willing to take the time to talk about me, good or bad, I will listen. And it helps me because it's a manner of checks and balances for myself.
Certainly.
And also keeping a thumb on the pulse of the community and PR perspective, like what are people saying and stuff like that. So I did see that podcast, or hear it, excuse me, and I was beautifully worded. You guys hashing it out is just such an interesting dynamic.
Oh, well, thank you. Look at this. So sweet. Thank you so much.
Well, to be honest, I listen to people's opinions, but it doesn't mean that they're always quality, and that's for anything. But I was really enjoying your guys' more collegiate level conversation. You guys talked about sex positive feminism and whether or not I'm a champion of that, basically. And
well, that's today. That's what we're going to talk about a lot more. But I don't want to give it away just yet. If for people listening, they're driving home, they're wondering who this spunky, vivacious 20-year-old is and why they should care about what you have to say. What do you do online?
I am a self-titled bikini streamer, the first of her kind, mother of dragons. I'm just kidding. That last part was just a Game of Thrones reference. I will escort myself out of the room now. I'm so cringy. No, I am someone who has really kind of divided the online community for a number of reasons because of the fact that I am willing to stream video games, a typically a mild vanilla thing, and I spiced it up by wearing a bikini and being sexually provocative and twerking badly. It's actually kind of really funny that I got so well known when I don't even know how to twerk. I just kind of shake it around and whatever moves back there moves, and then people are like going crazy for it. So that's that.
So that's that.
Who I am.
That's quite a journey. I think it takes someone with a very positive self-image, a lot of feelings of self-worth to try to feel like, I want to show a lot of my bare skin in an environment that might not be as forgiving. Why jump into this? What was the path? Because a lot of people make that choice, but a lot of them don't make that choice to do it for such an audience that is known for their scrutiny.
That's a very, very good point. And no one wants the fire lit under their ass, so to speak. And I was willing to turn up the temperature and say, bring it on. I was willing to not only do whatever it took, which is an important part of, I think, success. You need to be willing to do whatever it takes. Not everybody's willing to do that. And the road to getting there was, it was involved with being on Twitch. Twitch first was my first exposure to streaming, and I was just a booby streamer. There's this drama channel lie going around that I was twerking on Twitch. Oh, Twitch would be in there in a hot second to ban my antics in a moment if I were doing that. I didn't even have the idea to do it. People would say things like, "Oh, twerk on Twitch chat" and stuff like that, because they say that to every single girl. And Anytime anyone asks, I'm like, no, I'm not getting banned. I'm not going to do that. Because I heard all these stories of girls, like, oh, just they bent over to pick something up, banned.
Uh-huh.
And I was banned 3 times on Twitch, and I kind of fell out of love with it. I didn't want to do it anymore because every time I went on, I felt like I was being watched, and I was being watched, and not by my viewers, by the moderators and stuff and administrators of Twitch, and I didn't like that, and I knew what I needed to succeed, and Twitch wasn't volleying back in the way that I needed, so I kind of just fell out of streaming. I didn't stream for months, and then I got this idea to stream on Twitch again, and I got banned that same day. Same day I decided to start streaming again, I got banned, and I was just so livid. I just didn't know what to do. I was like, there has to be a third option that I'm not seeing here that's not just stream on Twitch or don't stream at all. So I started streaming on YouTube. And I just was doing my typical booby streamer thing, which is just wearing a low-cut top. I wear 2 bras. People are always saying in my YouTube comments, they're like, how come her chest looks deflated right now? And it's because I don't know where people got this idea that everything on the internet is true and real and factual. But I will wear 2 bras to make my chest look larger for the time. Obviously, I can't do that in bikinis. It doesn't really work the same way. But that's what I was doing on YouTube. I was just booby streaming. And then I had this thought one day when I was booby streaming. I was just like, wait, I could probably do more than this. I could probably switch into a bikini. And YouTube's not going to say anything because I looked at Casey Neistat's vlogs because I was starting to do YouTube and I wanted to make highlights and stuff. And I was like, how the hell do you vlog? I'm just trying to do all this stuff. And I saw Casey Neistat had a thumbnail of a girl in a bikini laying on a beach. That was his thumbnail, but it was a vlog. And I was like, wait. And then I clicked the video, and the video had nothing to do with that girl in the thumbnail. But for 2 seconds in the middle of the video, she came on, and I had this moment. I was like, wait, if I applied that concept live streaming, I might be able to make some more money. It was just, I want to make some more money, and I think I look good. I'm okay with doing it. Why not, kind of thing.
Well, let's jump into that right away. The
Sure.
action, the motivation behind doing these actions that have an arousal quality towards them. It's not only that seems to be a part of it because there is an interaction with fans. How do you see what you do, the sexual side of what you do? How do you see it, and very importantly, how do you think other people see it?
That's a very good question. So how I see what I do sexual wise is it's cringy. It's so cringy. I personally don't know if I would watch myself, but that doesn't stop other people from watching me. Now I do have to watch myself to make highlights and videos and stuff, and there are other qualities I have. They're not just the sexual side. I can crack a joke here or there, and it really helps me. So I see myself these more provocative things. It's just me I've always been kind of more on the exhibitionist side of things, just because I was willing. If I go to the gym, I wear some tighter stuff, sports bras. I've just been okay with that for a while, and so I don't see anything wrong with it. I'm not on there purposely intending to arouse people. I want it to be more accidental. I want people to be like kind of flustered by it because it keeps them coming back for more. And if I were people say a big thing on YouTube is go back to Pornhub. First of all, I was never from Pornhub. So to go back to Pornhub is an amusing comment that really summarizes your second part of your question. How does the community view me? They feel like I am the worst thing to happen to gaming and possibly YouTube. But I can say that is safely not true.
Okay, well, let's continue down that path. What do you mean they think you're the worst thing that's happened to gaming, let alone YouTube? How is that manifested?
It's a very interesting discussion, and there's multiple facets to it. The one that I find most intriguing that really jumps out at me is this conversation that I'm somehow exploiting children. That is very interesting because I feel like when people have an opinion and they don't like something, they want to discredit it. Throwing in anything to do with children is a great payday, kind of, when it comes to, and this kind of straw man fallacy where they're drawing these ideas out that because I'm streaming on YouTube and there are younger people on YouTube, that means that there are younger people watching me and I am somehow responsible for this.
Mm-hmm.
I will only be accountable for the kids that come out of me, not for someone else's kids. And if, quite honestly, if they're 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, chances are they've already seen probably much worse than anything that I'm showing or doing. Now, I think that lies with the parents. But this conversation that because it's gaming. Gaming is, even if you're an adult gamer, which I'm sure you can relate to this because you're a gaming-centered show, people see it as childlike. That's a product of the societal viewpoint on gaming and what it's like, even though it has a worldwide appeal and across all ages. So people feel like, but disregarding that, they still think gaming is synonymous with children. I come in and I do my thing, and it just gets a conversation going, a very important conversation that needs to happen. Because why did I even get famous from this? Because people were talking so much controversy about everything that it gave me more publicity. Why can't we live in a world where when I have my own choice to do with what I want to do with my body, I choose to do that? It shouldn't have been a discussion. It should have been like, oh, okay, she's doing that on that corner of YouTube, whatever. I won't probably ever go there again. That's what it would be if this weren't about something more than just me.
And do you think that you have any sort of responsibility just because of the success? YouTube and Twitch and these streaming services, it's a very interesting phenomenon when you're looking at creators, because there's such a direct relationship. There's such a A-B relationship where the people that are providing you your livelihood, I believe, from what you've said so far, you've been able to continue to do that. They are directly people that you interact with on a daily basis. Where does your responsibility lie, not only to them, but to, I guess, the artistic notions that you have for yourself? It's a complicated question, but I think it's one that most YouTubers who are successful need to answer.
Absolutely, and I absolutely agree with you as well. I think my responsibility lies in being honest. From the very beginning, I have never lied about what I'm doing, and I think that is a very important centrifugal notion of what I do and why I'm okay with what I'm doing. Because I'm sitting there making fun of myself for the whole time I'm streaming, basically. You just have to be willing to listen. Now, if you're one of the people who's got me muted and you're just looking at me shake my butt, well, you kind of missed out on the satire of it. But that's okay, because you're watching for a specific reason, and you're still giving me that view, you're still paying me, and you're still being entertained. There's an exchange of services, and that's the way media works. Now, my responsibility lies in being upfront, being honest. I think there's a lot of stuff that goes in the YouTube community that a lot of people don't understand. The nuances and how exactly it really is a feedback loop, like you said, a very A-B relationship. And some people really abuse it. I don't feel like what I'm doing is abusing that. And my responsibility from all this platform I've gained is to, now that I've gained this platform that I wanted, which is what I wanted to have a platform, because I can be the smartest person on planet Earth. If I'm in a room spouting all the smartest things I know by myself, what does it matter? Who am I benefiting? Nobody. If I were to sit here and be in a turtleneck streaming, talking about everything I know, why the Sunni and Shia Muslims are currently in a dynastic feud that has spanned generations and generations, I could sit there, but you're gonna fall asleep. But if my tits are coming out a little bit, suddenly maybe you'll learn something from what I'm saying. So my responsibility to myself is to now take this platform I've created and do good, and I've been doing that.
Do you believe that your current videos and your current actions so far are pro-feminist, sex-positive kind of gestures and motions? Where do you lie on that? Not only for yourself, but, you know, it's a two-part question. You know, do you consider yourself and the stuff you do pro-feminist? And just the way you described it, it's almost as if you kind of feel like you have to do this in some ways to get the level of recognition that you would like for some of the deeper ideas, and I think a lot of people understand that. So, yeah, just fundamentally, do you think what you're doing is a feminist action in your opinion?
I think it is a
Not
feminist
objectively, just
action.
opinion, yeah.
My opinion is that because I'm a woman, it is a feminist action. And anything a woman does is by default what you just said.
Hmm.
Now, I am sex positive because that is just how I believe the world is as a core. The thing with moral questions is that, like you just said, it's not objective, it's an opinion. And my opinion is that girls have been shamed for a very long time into why is no other girls, everyone was saying, oh, there's going to be so many more girls doing what Zoe's doing. There hasn't been a single one because they saw what happened to me
Well, let's
and they
get
don't
into
want to do
that.
it.
Let's get into that a little bit. We've talked about the effects that this has had, why you've done this. Let's look at, if you don't mind, some of the darker side of this, because I could imagine, just from looking at some of your videos, some of the tough comments are directly related to rape and violence and just really awful things to say to any person, let alone someone that is trying to provide you with entertainment and content like that. If you don't mind, take us through some of the terrible stuff that's happened to you since you went on this journey.
Oh, gee. I was actually warned by my manager to not talk about some of the more bad stuff because it'll encourage copycats.
Ah, okay.
But I'm going to go against him and go ahead and tell you anyway because
All
these
right.
are interesting stories. I've had people down mentioning me on Twitter as saying, I'm down at your pool. I want to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
Because just from taking videos in my area, people have come to know where I live exactly. And now I have to consider moving. I also have to consider the fact that I'm never going to be able to have a real job because I had the great idea to use my birth and legal name to do all of this. So I better hope this shelf life lasts as long as possible and that I'm good with money and good with saving. But I am very well aware of, I have a good sense of self. And you kind of mentioned that about the negative comments. You have to. You have to have that in order to be able to deal with it. Occasionally things will get to me, but it depends on if I'm having a bad day. If I'm having a bad day and someone says something on Twitter, of course it's gonna be more affecting than say on a day where I'm happy. So that's, I mean, but for the most part, it doesn't really miff me because it's, wait, someone commented something negative? You mean they commented? You mean they're talking about me?
Yeah.
The end. That's all that matters. But to talk more about specific bad things that have happened, I think the worst, in my opinion, has to do with big YouTubers or big, just prolific people with large amounts of followers, truly and honestly believing that I am horrible. I'm a horrible person. Everything about me is disgusting and low-hanging fruit. And I think that is just so devoid of analytical thought that it is gross. They had an opportunity to see something more and they did not. And then the only reason it's sad is because these people are large. They are influencers in the community. And
Well, what does that do to you? Let's talk about that, because you're doing this. You're also a superb gamer. You're excellent at what you do, and to see people that are a lot better than I am, see people that are in this field and malign you so publicly. You mentioned it there, more than even professionally, but just, emotionally, considering how much you put on the line. How does that impact you?
I have a kind of business model when it comes to people who talk about me publicly, and that is to respond, to be to volley back, but in a smart way. Try to stay one step ahead. I had a situation where my phone was hacked into, and nudes were released from my phone, taken and put onto the internet. And a person with at the time tens of thousands of followers, so like 30,000 followers on Twitter, decided to publicly mention me and say, oh, these are Zoie Burgher's nudes. So I was faced with this person who, they don't have 200 followers, they're not posting my nudes. This is a large profile that posted them. So I sat there and I was like, what should I do? So my answer to that was to mention him and say, everyone go check out this guy's profile to see some fire nudes of me, because apparently he needs the followers and it's his most liked and favorited tweet. So go over there and check that out. So I kind of took the edge off his insult, his dig, by referring everyone over there. And then his response was like, wow, you exposed yourself even more than I did when you did that. But that's the goal. I want to be in charge of exposing myself more than anyone else is. No one is going to expose me more than I expose myself.
Well, you know, you're talking about, again, we're speaking with Zoie Burgher here, Andy Burkowski, VGS, talking to the bikini streamer Stealth. I think what you touched on there, I really do personally think you're taking it almost lightly, because what you're describing is, in my opinion, and the opinion of most of the laws of the land, a form of sexual harassment. They're breaking into your property. They're spreading it in this way. You know, I understand that you're trying to take the edge off, but you're also a human being. And I think that's also important to kind of convey not only this tough, lack of a better term, bad bitch exterior, but also the fact that you're not just a streamer. And these people aren't just, you know, YouTubers. They're individuals. So, you know, I understand you're sex positive and sharing your body is something that you are proud of, and it's, you know, part of what you're doing. But the idea of that loss of agency must be, it must feel very invading.
It's, yes, it is invading. But the thing is I have a very high tolerance for things of that nature, and I know the end goal, and the end goal is going to be benefiting other people. I want to kind of talk just briefly about something that I've been doing recently, which no other YouTuber has been doing, they've had all the time since YouTube's been created to do this, but it's not really happened. And this also applies to, no, Twitch is more like this. So what I will do is, when I'm streaming live and I want to take a break from gaming, I'll go and I'll pull up other smaller streams on YouTube, and I'll watch them. I'll go and I'll see and I'll tell all of my viewers to go and spam in the chat, which increases viewer interaction, comments, likes. And just the other day, I came across a 14-year-old. I knew the guy. I knew he was under 18, and I did this funny little move where I grabbed my green screen extra one and I wrapped it around me, because I was like, whoa, there's kids watching, and I'm a floating head for like 10 minutes of the video. And this kid quintupled in subscribers in a day. And he was very entertaining, and he was dynamic, and he's so young. And these kids know how to entertain better than some grown streamers I know who are getting paid and doing it full time. And I'm giving back to the community in this way. That was just a specific example, but that's my first attempt, and that's just off the top of my head. That's something I could do in the moment. What about when I have even more resources, even more contacts, when I can do even more good? I'm well aware of the fact of what I can do, and people are just sitting there eating popcorn, just waiting, and that's okay. I have a campaign for nudes at 1 mil, which people are kind of wondering. They're like, is that real? And it's 100% real. Because, and then the comments were made, oh, but your nudes are already leaked. Why would we want to see them? And I kind of volleyed back and I said, okay, you want stolen, jank-ass, old nudes that were not intended to be seen by more than one person from when I was 18 years old? Or do you want ones that I'm professionally taking? I'm going to release. It's going to be brand new pair of tits, possibly, depending on the timeline. But it's also just me trying to take the edge off the fact that you're right, that was an invasion of privacy, and people think that, oh, because my nudes are out, it's going to stop people from looking at them at 1 mil. No. The whole point is the conversation that arises from, what is she doing? Oh no, it's a nerve. Oh no, she's not naked on YouTube, but she's going to be naked somewhere else and promote her YouTube. Oh, everyone's triggered. Everyone's so triggered.
So I'm trying to follow you here, because we talked a lot about the scrutiny, the action of this. After everything you just said about, you have this platform, you want to get an opportunity to, you know, showcase other sides of you. What is, because I get a rare chance to speak to you about this, What is the motivation behind now taking that next step to show nude photos? Is it just to create hype for what you're doing right now, or is there any other greater message? Because you talked a lot about that and some of the other goals and what you were doing. Because I want to try and follow what you're doing here.
The greater message is you should be able to do what you want within the law and not have to feel like you won't be able to do it because of the backlash.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think every girl should get on and start posting their nudes places? No, I think I'm in a very unique position, and I would not encourage the majority of girls to do what I'm doing for the very reason I mentioned earlier, which is that people have seen what's happened to me. They don't want to replicate that. And that's, I was willing to take all of the hate to get farther ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So what the whole point of the nudes at Windmill is I want to do it. And yes, it has the side effect of creating this hype and this anger, this festering hatred for me, really hatred, very virulent hatred that people have for me. And I'm just capitalizing off of it.
When you say hate, why do you think they have hatred for you that you're going to show nude photos?
Oh, it's not just the nude photos, but specifically the nude photos, the hatred is that, oh, she's cheating. She's cheating the system.
Mm-hmm.
She's using her body. Anybody can do that. A lot of people say that. Anybody can do that. Anybody can just have no morals and gain hundreds of thousands of subscribers. That is so silly. Because then every porn star would be famous. They're not. There are plenty of people that are having sex on camera that nobody knows about. So if this logic that I'm showing skin, therefore I'm successful is true, then every porn star would be successful, and that is more often than not the opposite of true. So that is the kind of controversy around the being nude. I just wanted to do it also because it's not been done. I have this, I'm an innovator. Sure, people won't, I'm a little bit less traditional than your average think tank leader or CEO, but doesn't mean that what I say or what I do or the platform I create is any less valid.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, speaking with Zoie Burgher, the bikini streamer, about some of the reaction and some of the success, we talked about the fact that, actually, no, we haven't really got into this. Why do you think, honestly, that you've had this success so quickly in this particular field?
I'm excited to answer this question because I know exactly why I've experienced so much success, and it's because of the YouTube algorithm of, I want to call it trending topics. There's a topic that will go across YouTube, and then all of the YouTubers will jump on it to capitalize on the views and the clicks that topic is currently receiving. And of course, the money makers in these phenomena are the first people on the scene. Same as traditional news reporting. So that is a very important concept that's the core of my success. I started doing this, and honestly, I was on YouTube for a couple of weeks. I was posting these highlights, and they weren't even getting any views compared to what I'm getting. They're only maybe 3,000, 4,000. That's a drop in the bucket compared to both what I have now and the greater scheme of things. And I was able to be a trending topic because what I was doing was so inflammatory, and it kind of became something bigger than it actually ever was intended to be because of the fact that these YouTubers could talk about me, and because they were talking about me, they could put a picture of me with my chest proudly displayed or me in a bikini into their videos, and therefore increase their views and their money. So people and no one says anything about that because it's the same content. They're just commenting on it. They're proliferating it, but that sentiment doesn't arise. People aren't, this. They don't focus on the fact that they're proliferating the content. They see I'm the root of it. We're doing the same thing. They're exploiting my body for views, and I'm exploiting my body for views. Except I have a right to do it. And they have free use because I'm already doing it, and they have free use copyright laws which say that they're allowed to critique and comment on what I'm doing, which is a very important part of being in America and enjoying those freedoms. That actually brings me to something I'm not quite sure if you know about this, but I was served with a cease and desist by Fox for using a small animation that my sister made these graphics for me forever ago on Twitch, to use on Twitch, and I was never said anything about the cartoon or anything. And then I became known for being the twerking bikini streamer, and I was served with a cease and desist and told to get rid of all videos and all mentions or risk being fined 150,000 per infraction, which, counting the videos on my channel at the time, it totaled $1.9 million is what they were threatening me to do. I went to my lawyer and I said, what do I do? And they said exactly what they say, because the point here is not who's right, it's the fact that they have more money than you and they will exhaust your resources before you exhaust theirs, and they want you to take away this association. And the really crappy part is that it was just a little cartoon in the corner, and if I had been critiquing it or saying anything, referencing it or reacting to it, then it would have been fair use. But because of the fact that it was just in the corner of my stream, and I quite honestly forgot about it. It was a Zoie Burgher character, which bears a remarkable resemblance to my name, Zoie Burgher. And I was just cute, and I just ran with it. And I never thought that the movies that I watched as a child, the iconic theme song, dun 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 dun, I never thought they'd be coming after me. So part of me was, kind of.
Do you think that is perhaps just the backlash of this community, reaching out to these corporations that perhaps were upset, because we're talking about a culture that you seem to identify that has, some toxicity to it.
Absolutely. But the thing is, without that toxicity, I wouldn't have had the success that I've had. So I can't sit here and decry the toxicity, because the toxicity made me. So I think it's an important thing to just mention.
That ties into my next question here, because you talked a lot about a lot of the vile things that have happened to you because you've made these sex positive choices. A lot of the responses from the identity politics of gamers that seem to say that you are not an accurate representation of what they want their communities to be. But you also mentioned that you need that level, you just did there, that level of toxicity, that bigotry, and that sexism in order to continue with your success. Ultimately, wouldn't the greater goal be to dissuade, eliminate, and try to make this community a little less toxic so that you could, be as sex positive as you want, still be a great gamer? Because it does kind of, like you said, it's hard for you to say this is so, decry the sentiment when you're succeeding from its bigotry and a lot of the poisonous stuff. I hear this, and as someone who identifies as a gamer, it makes me want to back away a little bit more. So, how do you respond to that?
Okay, so your question is, shouldn't I be trying to lessen the toxicity in the community? And I don't think that responsibility lies with me. I think I have in a unique position to start a conversation that has not happened. Now, people have this meme of hating booby streamers has existed since the dawn of women making money from their looks, basically. Because men don't like when women can do something they cannot. And it is a uniquely, so is it a feminist thing? The definition of the word feminist is equality in men and women. This isn't necessarily feminist by that definition, because of the fact that it is something that I can do uniquely because I am a woman. Because there is this desire, both men and women are either eager to look at me either for their own enjoyment or for their own curiosity, even if it's just to know what kind of person is willing to do this. And so the toxicity, yes, if I could make the community less toxic, of course, I would do my part to clean up the trash. But I don't think that's something that can be done, and I don't think it's something you want to be done, because at the end of the day, there's two sides. There's a reason why there's always ebb and flow in things, and life is not just all the positive, not just all the negatives. And it's an important part, because the toxicity, what is the toxicity? It's critique. And critique is an important part of any discussion. And I think that, in a way, if this were to all get fleshed out, I've already noticed less hate. But but now it's more of the more prolific people talking and pointing their hate towards me. So
Well, you mentioned beforehand that this had a lot to do with just the news cycle that you were the most talked about, trending topic of that week, and it continued because of the subsequent news stories and the movement of that. As someone who's familiar with the nature of news cycles, this topic, like you said, this fire in the pan, traditionally doesn't last. So if you're in that position, you said it yourself, you because you took this chance might not have an opportunity to get gainful employment that you thought you would because your name is out there. You gave up a lot to try to do this.
that's what success takes.
Well, that's the idea, though. Are you not concerned that this is just a flash in the pan? How do you guarantee that you can still be talked about a year from now, or is that even important to you?
Do I always anticipate this level of attention to me? No. I don't think it, but do I think I'm capable of maintaining it? Yes, because I'm quick-witted and I am able to understand what gets people talking. I can tell you my initial burst of acknowledgement probably would have only lasted a week and capped out at around 200K if I had not been able to volley back and do more. There's people who would have had the same thing happen to them, could have already fallen off on YouTube and been not talked about anymore. But I have been strategically placing myself in situations to make sure that people still want to hear what's going on. And it works nicely with the algorithm that I talked about, because the more I talk about things, the more I do things, the more other people get to talk about me, because it's convenient to put a girl in their videos. And I just happen to be a really interesting one and a really controversial one. So I'm just hitting a lot of different things and kind of double, triple dipping in this niche category that I have. That's why I'm having so much success. I made a joke earlier today about revenue shares. All YouTubers talk about revenue shares, is how much money are you making, basically. And I said I'm making 100% of the revenue share for the YouTube cam whores, because the population won, and I'm making all that money because no one else is willing to do it. It's a tongue-in-cheek statement. It's meant to get a couple of har, but it's also a kernel of truth.
Well, you said yourself, though, that you want to also be judged on the contents of your character, the ideas. You mentioned, world politics in this sort of way. When will that transition for you happen, or is this just more of conceptual that, predominantly this is what you're doing? You want to show your skin, your body, your personality. I want to know the evolution of this sort of action, because I really do believe that personally you're on the precipice of, you say you don't have a responsibility to make changes, but I really think you could. I really, truly do. That if you took more time to speak, that if you took more time to, share these thoughts, that it could, as they say, change some hearts and minds. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking into this. I don't know exactly your situation, but I do think there's a fork in the road, so to speak. Which way do you want to go?
If I were to stay just streaming in a bikini, it would get tired. It would get old eventually, and it would have already gotten old by now. But I've been evolving and growing. I didn't know how to edit videos a month and a half ago, and I'm sitting at 600,000 subscribers today, because I would not have been able to keep that growth going if I didn't grow with the channel size. I have had to work so hard. This illusion that I'm just making easy money is just so false. It's good money, but it's not easy. I've had to pay for that money, and I will keep paying for it, as you mentioned, if things were to really go south for me. But I honestly, at this point, I really believe that I will be able to carve out a niche for myself no matter where I am.
Okay, and again, we're going to go through really quickly just some of the more louder criticisms, so you have a chance to answer them. We already went through that. I do appreciate this, your patience going through all this. So again, these are just some of the more common critiques. We've covered a lot of it, but I just want to really hit these ones home. What do you think your work does to other women who operate within the video game culture?
This is a fun question because it's like you just said, it's a very often spouted remark.
Hmm.
It goes something like this. Zoe Burgher is the reason why people come into my chat and tell me to show boobs.
Hmm.
Oh dear Lord, let me pour myself a cup of tea and dissect this one for you. The thing about going to college is I'm able to, think in a more scholastic way about things. And I'm so thankful for the 3 years that I spent at Florida State University for teaching me that. And this concept, Zoe Burgher is the reason why people are coming to my chat. I'm only 20 years old, and I'm pretty sure for most of that time I was not booby streaming or bikini streaming. I'm pretty sure people have been saying crappy things to women way before I ever even got the inkling to do any of this. Now, does it change the idea or image of gamers? No, because no one even considers me a gamer. No one thinks I have any ounce of legitimacy. And so it's a very false connection that people are making, saying that I am representative of girl gamers. Since when is one person representative of a populace of anybody? Unless we nominated me. Nobody nominated me for anything other than most hated person on YouTube. I think that's been thrown around a couple of times. So, no, I don't think that I am harming other women. I think I could empower them if they were just to take the concepts of what I'm doing and kind of own it. Just own, maybe just one day think about something that you wouldn't have done because you are a shade of makeup you wouldn't have worn because it's just too daring. Just do it, because who cares at the end of the day? These people, we're all doing these things to impress people who don't actually matter. I just threw away all of those concepts, and people were so like just shocked that I was willing to do all of this. And that's when I realized that I needed to keep doing it. Because honestly, if it were, like I said earlier, if this were just something normal and it was just two ships passing in the night, no one thought anything more of me, it would have never escalated. I probably would have stopped twerking. I would have never continued twerking. I would have tried it a couple times, made a couple extra money, done it here or there. It would have never become a phenomena. But the phenomena is, who is this girl, and just who does she think she is?
Okay, continuing with another, I think, often cited criticism that I had to clean up and also give some grammar to. You, Zoe Burgher, are not a real gamer, and what you are doing is hurting the people who do this. Not only the women, but everyone. You're taking advantage. You should be ashamed. Why
Kids
are
are
you
stealing their
continuing?
parents' credit cards, and I'm, hurting women, and men are just in their rooms jacking off all day, and they have lowered their productivity levels, and I'm just decimating YouTube. Well, my response to that is, congratulations, Zoe. If one person just shaking their booty fat is capable of destroying YouTube, then it needed to be destroyed. Honestly, if that's how fragile this ecosystem is, and it kind of is. It kind of is that fragile. I'm durable, and that's why this whole thing, it's like throwing some shoes in the dryer. It's a show, and everyone loves a show. People commenting on these negative things, there's still views. There's still an important part of the conversation. So, yeah, I'm the worst thing to happen to YouTube, but it's almost a meme at this point.
And, finally, we just want to talk a little bit about. I don't want to hit this again because I think it's an important issue, especially considering what's happening. The idea that you are being attacked with at least some threats of physical violence, some threats of sexual violence. Yes, yeah. You talked before about that you're hard and durable. Just one more chance, really, just to talk a little bit about the fact that this can't happen. I agree. You're hard, you're durable, that's great, but it shouldn't be accepted by any individual, regardless of how, prominent they may be or not. You're a real person. So this is, if you don't mind, this is an opportunity kind of to speak to people that make that choice to threaten you anonymously, to do these terrible things. Especially the threat of sexual violence. What could you impart on them, maybe to make them know that you're a real person. You're not a meme. You're not a dancing toy. You're a real individual.
I think the only remedy for venomous hatred like that is kindness and understanding, because that just takes all the power away from their argument. And above that, just staying away from the negativity. I've taken to I used to obsessively read everything about me, and now I've kind of managed to reach the point where I will know when to stop, or know my mood levels. And I want to kind of say something that actually happened today. You'll be the first person that I talk to. I'm going to go public with the story. So I was going to collaborate with a YouTuber. I'm going to make up some collaborations are a big part of YouTube, and it became known to me that this person had been secretly recording me while I was changing, and this person has 1 million subscribers on YouTube, and Lord knows what they were going to do with that footage. I demanded that he deleted it, and I got on the next flight to come to LA, which is where I am right now. And I'm really shook. I was really shaken, and I still am, because these are now my problems that I have to worry about. And so this idea of this sexual violence, of violence towards me, or even more passive aggressive kinds of violence, because that is still violence. I was so violated. And I realized, I had this moment of clarity where I realized this was a unique product of the position that I put myself in and that I had been thrust into, because it wasn't all just me. I was thrust into it as well. So it's what am I going to do about it? I'm probably going to be bringing a bodyguard on business trips now. I'm going to have to move from where I live right now, and I have to be much more careful about situations I put myself in, and I just take it a day at a time. And I do not anticipate this ending well for the other gentleman once I go forward, because of the nature of the people don't like me, but this is another level of it would be one thing if this was a person who was nobody, but 1 million subscribers on YouTube is a big deal. And I already spoke to my manager and several other people, and they said to me, oh, if we're working with them, we no longer work with them, because that's how big of a deal, like this kind of violation is. So yeah, I'm at that point where people still feel okay enough about my image to hate me. But if anything were to happen really to me, like even worse than this, I do believe that people would come to my side. And I think the people who actually don't mind what I do and are actually, are the majority, because obviously there's lots of people watching, way more than comment. And it's more the people with the more hot comments that are the ones that are commenting and saying all these negative things. So, and I think that those other people who are silent would step up and say what is really on their mind. So.
Well, again, that's a terrible experience to go through, and I'm sorry
horrendous.
that you had to. You mentioned something interesting there in your explanation, that you felt as if you were in that situation because of like the choices you made, or you were thrust into that situation, something along those lines. What do you mean by that?
Because I've always been a person who kind of has little less than average judgment when it comes to people, not very good at picking the good from the bad. And being in a position like this, before no one liked me, now suddenly all these people want to work with me and do these things that never would have given me the time of day before. And so this extra publicity, and it's positive publicity, and I'm in these circles now of people where all their time is money. These people that I'm now hanging around, their hours are worth thousands of dollars. Thousands of dollars. And when you get up, the stakes just go higher. Things are more ruthless. What was this person going to do with this footage? Lord knows, but chances are they were going to make thousands of dollars off of it. And I just, yes, it's a unique perspective of the fact that I'm a female. I have blown up on YouTube, and people want to capitalize on that success, and they want to, feed it back into themselves, which is an important part of collaborating. There's nothing wrong with that. But I just have to be more aware now that this is now my current situation, and I need to be, yeah, you said it earlier, yeah, I can play bad bitch all I want, but at the end of the day, I need to be taking care of myself. Like, this could have, I only had this feeling. I walked into the room before I was about to change, and I asked him, "Where's your phone?" He froze up. He froze up. Then I start searching everywhere. I start looking everywhere, and I find his phone propped up behind a monitor, kind of blending in, and it was recording. And just this feeling, because this person, I had no indication that this person would do this or that they were a kind of person like that. And then I realized that's what the power and the fame and the money does to people. It changes people. And I don't want to change. I don't want to be one of those people that changes. It's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. And that recently happened. It happened in the last 6 hours. And so now I'm just kind of reeling from it. And going public, I think, will really help me, but also not only recover the lost monetary damages from having to leave on my trip earlier and flying out, and then also time wasting, but also the fact that checks and balances. This guy can't get away with this, and the fact that he's doing this means he's done it to other girls, and he thinks it's okay. So he's a bigger phenomena, though. It's not. I don't think he's the only one who would try to do that in that situation, and that is sad.
Well, I thank you so much for giving the time that you did. I know we have a little bit more time. I do appreciate it, but that is, I think you're.
What do you think? You
well,
talked to me.
no. Well, I think that speaks to a bigger issue. The idea that because you are in this this universe, this culture that is very, very poisonous in many different anonymous ways, and because you choose to do something that I think a lot of people would say is not something they would choose to do. You got to have a lot of self-awareness and self-worth to just take off your clothes and try to also entertain.
That's an interesting statement. You have to have a lot of self-worth to take off your clothes. A lot of people would disagree with that statement.
Of course you do. The idea that you can publicly present yourself in any sort of way to hundreds of thousands of people and still maintain a performance, I think that is a trait that is hard to come by. And I think that is also a reflection of the unfortunate toxicity of people who work in this industry, that because you are sex positive, you would therefore maybe not be as uncomfortable with being sexually harassed. That, I think, is the reason, and it's rape culture. That's exactly what it is. It's the idea of rape culture. And I'm very sorry that this had to happen to you. I'm very sorry that you believe in any sort of way that it was because of the choices you made. And that's victim pathology. You don't have to, and I'm sorry, I don't want to be, presumptive, but you making the choice to go do this doesn't mean that you have any sort of responsibility for what happened to you. What you just said, that you made wrong choices and that, I should have been aware of those sort of things. I've worked at this for a little bit, talking to other people that have gone through some, real trauma, and it's not something that is your fault. It is a safe place to be. And I think, you're in a rare opportunity if you choose to speak about it. And if you don't, you don't have to. Now, none of this will probably make it on air, but, it is, I'm very glad that we had the chance to speak. I'm very sorry that this happened to you. But I also, personally, as someone that's been in news for a long time now, I think it's important that you're aware, and I'm sorry if I'm getting preachy, you can stop me at any moment, that you're aware that just because you have newfound fame or because you choose to be sex positive or anything like that, that any of this negative, terrible stuff that's happening to you is justified in any sort of way. People that choose to record you changing is sexual harassment, and I'm very sorry that you dealt with that. Thank you for asking my opinion on it. It's a very rare case where I get to, opine in that way.
Well, you reached out to me and wanted to have this discussion, and I think a lot of people are, more hesitant to give me more legitimacy. It's getting to the point where YouTubers, I this is kind of my tinfoil hat, but certain YouTubers that I won't say by name are choosing not to talk about me, even though I could give them free money, free views. They're choosing not to because I'm encroaching too close to their sub count, to their subscribers amount, and they're not comfortable with that. So people who would typically in the same situation be all over the trends have kind of not been as eager, and it's out of character. And all I can say is I don't need your videos and your views. And not quite sure where I was going with that statement. I'm gonna track that back. I've been doing pretty good about keeping on track with the questions and answers.
Certainly.
Oh yes, just people not wanting to talk to me. So you reaching out and wanting to interview me is a unique position. Hopefully, I'll be able to, you know, give you guys some more publicity from this. No, I'm gonna cut and edit and put this into my video with your permission, and kind of talk about, because your questions, and first of all, it's legitimacy of an interview. Legitimacy, awesome, tick, that's great. The next thing is you're making very valid points that I think most people will click out because they're no ass shaking up, leave. You know, I'll figure out some way to sexy it up so that people will listen. Sure. But the people who need to hear this conversation will listen and will pay attention. And I'm eager to see the reaction, because each kind of like little foot in the water test that I've done with showing more of my sincere personality, more of my wit, more of my smarts, and less of my persona streaming. Which still, they're not entirely separate, but they're different facets. The more I do that, I am receiving a positive reaction, and I'm eager to see how this all pans out.
Yeah, and just to get back, thank you so much. It's very kind of you. To continue with what we're saying, just to give kind of like a close, because I need to cut it for the thing. Zoie Burgher, we had the chance to speak with you at length about your success, about the gaming culture, and thank you again for sharing some trauma that you went through. You know, it's not something that you should have to go through, and it's not something that any woman should have to go through, regardless of the level of success. You know, if you had an opportunity now, and I know you're planning on doing that, what would you say to people like that seem to see you as more of a sexual object than a contemporary? What do you want to say to them? Take a moment. It's all right.
What do I say to people who see me as a sexual object and not as a human being? You can't say anything to those people, because they're not going to be able to change your opinion, and trying to change their opinion is a source of large amounts of exhausted energy and pain. And I have no desire to put myself and re-victimize myself and do that again. So what I do is understand that what this person is saying about me is a function of themselves and what they have been, how they've been living, and what kind of perspective they're coming from. That's a product of them, not of me. And I think that's an important distinction that helps me gain empowerment again from the fact that, yes, I am victimized, but honestly, I've been victimized so long, and other people have been making money off my body for longer than I have. I worked at a club for 2 years. It's the same concept. Shaking your butt, making money, drinking on streams is, when I turned 21, is also a very popular thing for other streamers. Not too different from the club scene, just throwing some gaming. That's why it's kind of easy, because people have been slapping my ass, squeezing my boobs, walking around, 18 years old, freshman in college, and I was, and there is a culture of you just deal with it. You just take the money and shut up and deal with it. The bouncers kick them out, but how do you deal with the fact that, someone just felt like it was okay to grab your ass? There's girls who would do it, and they would think it was okay because they were girls. That was my favorite. Oh, I can grab your tits because I'm a girl. It's less sexual harassment. No, sexual harassment doesn't require you having a penis. That's so silly. So now I'm at a point where I'm willing to exploit myself and make money off my own body, and I'm okay with it.
Do you see it as exploitation?
In the definition of it being exploiting, taking an object or a subject and
it doesn't hurt you to do it.
It doesn't, and because I have permission, because it's me. It's my own body. And other people have permission because of copyright laws.
Yeah.
They can do that. And I am just going to take each step, stride, move forward, grow, hire bodyguards, and hopefully not have any other people recording me changing.
Well, again, you've spoken with me for about an hour now, so it's very, very gracious of you. I
Well,
think
thank you so much.
absolutely. You really touched on it there. It was very, very moving. Subsequently, when you do kind of come forward with this and have an opportunity to speak, you'll get a chance to not only speak to people who think like that, but also, like you said, a lot of women that have had to deal with this, have had to deal with some form of sexual harassment, with rape culture, with being objectified in ways that they hadn't planned just by participating in the gaming community or any sort of community. What do you hope that this trauma that you've went through could, and your perspective, how could that help other women who maybe are going through the same thing?
I think if by going public and talking about it, it gives other people courage. Just recently, Donald Trump, with his remarks and all these women coming forward, people like to scream, oh, now they're coming forward. It's as if to discredit them, when in reality, they were so scared and ashamed that they didn't want to come forward. But seeing others, they gained strength. And it still took a lot to come forward and go public with things like that. And it's just the same phenomena repackaged. And I'm eager to see what kind of good I can do.
And, finally, I'll give you one last moment here because we talked about some really heavy stuff. You do have a very active fan base that loves to hear your jokes, that loves to hear, that appreciates the sex positive things that you do, but also appreciates you as a performer and as a gamer. You have a chance now to speak directly to that smiling group. You have hundreds of thousands of people. What do you say to those people that just adore you for all the right reasons?
That I love you guys, and I'm going to continue to stay true to those reasons that you guys love me, which most of the time it's, this girl is managing to create all this discussion around her. Let's see what happens. And they're Team Zoie, and all I can say is it's going to be a great show. Stick around.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Zoie Burgher, Bikini streamer, sharing her work and all the excellent stuff she's done on Twitch and YouTube, and kind of the darker side of this gaming culture that we all identify with and appreciate so much. Zoie, thank you.
Thank you so much.
This is Andy Burkowski, Video Game Sophistry.
What he did was an absolute violation of my privacy and of what makes you think that that's okay. When I caught him, he said, I just thought it would be easy and that I'd get away with it and you'd never let me do it if I told you about it.